Hello, everybody, and blessed feast of Saint Simon Stock. At the Mass this morning, I said I'd post a video explaining about the brown scapular and talking about Saint Simon Stock. And Saint Simon Stock was the, I would say provincial, but I think he was the superior in the Carmelites anyways. He was the superior in the Carmelites. He was in England, and it was around about the year, I think it was 1251. And he was pleading with Our Lady, in a time of distress, at a point of utter, despair and trust in Our Lady, asking her to for a sign, right, to help him in his promotion of the order, and I can only imagine for helping success in his ministry and evangelization. And so it was there in that context that Our Lady appeared to him and gave him the scapular and said, "Whoever shall die in this garment will not suffer the pains of hell." Beautiful promise. And so this scapular, the scapular that was given to Saint Simon Stock, is a common part of the religious habit. It is the scapular that the brown friars, or actually they're white friars, the Carmelites wear a brown habit with a white cloak over the top. So oftentimes they're called the white friars, to be distinguished from the Franciscans, who are brown, or the Dominicans, who wear a black cloak, are often called the black friars. So there's a little sidebar for you, but the white friars. So underneath the white cloak and in their everyday habit, they wear a brown tunic with a leather belt, different from the Carmelite, or different from the Franciscans, right? So this is one of the ways that you can tell the difference between Franciscans and Carmelites, because a lot of people, when they see Carmelites, they think, oh, it's a brown habit, it's a Franciscan. Nope, the Carmelites wear a leather belt. The Franciscans wear a rope cord, right? So one of the ways that you can distinguish, and then the Carmelites have a scapular, a brown scapular that goes all the way to the floor, or to the feet on the front and the back. And as I've heard from commentaries, and that the friars, the Carmelite friars, began to take pieces of their scapular and give it to the faithful, so that they could participate in this wonderful privilege, this gift that Our Lady had given to Saint Simon Stock, and so that they could wear the habit of our Blessed Mother. And so from that time, really, for hundreds of years now, laity have worn the brown scapular and been counted among the Carmelite family. And so let me tell you a little bit about how I came into the Carmelite family. It's interesting, and especially with the link between Fatima and Our Lady of Carmel. It was in the year 2000, and I was in Rome. The first time I'd ever been in Rome, and it was in November. It was November 1st that I got to see the Holy Father, and so it was in that week of the last part of October, first part of November. And there it was, and I remember, I don't know how I got it or what inspired me to pick it up, but one night as we had made it back to our room for the night, I picked up a little booklet on Our Lady of Fatima, and it was in those days that I really began to pray the Rosary. So I think it was a book, like a little treatise on the Rosary, and perhaps even how to pray the Rosary, because it was at that time that I still needed a little book to guide me through to pray the Rosary, to remember the mysteries and all the prayers in between. So I usually had a book with me, and so this little book, though, it had I think at the end, the little treatise about the scapular, and specifically that promise that Our Lady had given to Saint Simon Stock: whoever wears this garment shall not suffer the pains of hell. There's another tradition that goes along with it that is wrapped in with Fatima. It's called the Sabbatine privilege. And from Fatima, we know that Our Lady encouraged us to have devotion on Saturdays, specifically the first Saturday, to her Immaculate Heart, and to attend Mass for 5 Saturdays in a row on the first Saturday, go to confession, go to Holy Communion, and with that, we're guaranteed, so to speak, her protection at the hour of our death. And so along with that comes the Sabbatine privilege that says that if one should die, that it would be on that first Saturday after their death that Our Lady would come for them to bring them out of purgatory. So perhaps having only to suffer a few days the fires of purification, but those days, who knows how long they might be, depending on the state of our soul. But the scapular was given to us so that daily we could be mindful of the state of our soul, especially in relationship to Our Lady. So back to Rome, where that night, as I picked up that little treatise, I read about the scapular and that promise, and so I was set, and I said, I'm gonna go get me a scapular. And I was in Rome, right? So I knew I could find one. I was actually at the gift shop at St. Peter's, the one that's right off of the main square. I went in there, and boom, right there on the glass counter was a scapular with the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary on both of the pieces of the brown woolen cloth. And so I bought that scapular and I put it on and I wore it. So I began wearing the scapular in the year 2000, right around that time. Little did I know that our Holy Father, St. John Paul II, was a great devotee of the scapular, had worn it nearly his own life. Many, many saints have promoted and been very devoted to the scapular. Not just Carmelite saints, but one in particular, Saint Claude de la Colombière, great Jesuit saint, promoter of devotion to the Sacred Heart, as he was the spiritual director of Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque, and he was also an apostle of the scapular. So I got my scapular at St. Peter's, I put it on and I was wearing it, right? And I knew, and it was daily a reminder of my devotion to Our Lady, who leads us to Christ. So I was wearing the scapular, and then I got to seminary, and at seminary we studied with Carmelite friars. They have a house of studies at Mount Angel. So it was one day in class that I was sitting next to Brother Philip. He's now Father Philip, the Carmelites of the West Coast. And so I was sitting next to him, and oftentimes, he would lean over in class and, kind of jab, or we would talk, or, so, but one time he leans over and he says, "Hey, are you wearing a scapular?" And so I was like, I got this, right? Of course I'm wearing a scapular, right? And then he comes back with, "But have you been enrolled?" I said, "No, I didn't know about the enrollment," right? And I think many people, right, have put on the scapular, right? And I frequently get people, "Hey, Father, will you bless the scapular?" And I say, "Have you been enrolled?" And they're like, "I don't know." I said, "Do you know what this means?" And so it's always an opportunity for evangelization, and so I had my spiritual director at that time was a Carmelite, so he said, "Just talk to Father James, I'll get you sorted out and enroll you in the scapular." It's a formal enrollment in which one is inserted into the family of Carmel, and one gets to participate in those graces that are poured out for the Carmelites through the intercession of our Blessed Mother. And it's no luck charm, it's no, it's no superstition. It's this garment that God has given to us through our Blessed Mother to remember who we are, that we have been baptized and put on Christ. And it's Christ who came to us through the Blessed Mother. It was Our Lady who clothed him with his flesh and blood. And so we come to him through her as well. And it's through wearing the scapular. I don't know if you can see it very well, but I did bring this scapular with me to show you. This is the one I wear when I'm running. So I wear the scapular, and as you can see, it's got the shield of Carmel on it, and I put a few medals on it. I've got one there, the Sacred Heart, the Miraculous Medal, Saint Benedict, and those medals weigh it down so that it doesn't just start flying all over the place when I'm running. And I find that wearing the scapular to have a few medals on it, essentially the Miraculous Medal and the Medal of Saint Benedict, to weigh it down, it makes it more comfortable. It also reminds you that you are wearing it. And the scapular that I am wearing, that I wear every day underneath my t-shirt, is full of medals. I think I started when Brother Philip himself, when my original scapular was falling apart, he said, "I got it, brother, I'm gonna mend it for you." So he took the scapular apart, he mended it, and he sewed on a medal of Saint Benedict and a Miraculous Medal, and then he gave it back to me. And so ever since that time, I've put on medals on my scapular. That scapular has long since disintegrated, and the scapular I wear now, I've been wearing for over 10, wow, it must be on to like 15, at least 15 years, that I got in Mexico. And so it's collected quite a few medals, and I wear it every day. I put it on and I kiss it and pray a Hail Mary. And it's a reminder that, one, we put on Christ at our baptism, and two, we are clothed with Mama Mary's mantle. She's always there to watch over, protect, and guide us. So if you ever want to get to know more about the scapular, let me know. I've got plenty, and I'm always ready to enroll you. May Our Lady of Mount Carmel, Our Lady of Fatima, the Immaculate Heart of Mary, guide us all unto eternal happiness.